Hello, this hangout is on air. Louisiana Beer Reviews Hop Bullet Double India Pale Ale, introduced in 2017 by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. Do you know that hops are the name of the game in double IPAs? And that is the game with this particular double IPA. Okay. Hop Bullet. Bullet. I don't feel comfortable with that name, Hop Bullet. I think they should rename it Hop Wizard. Not Hop Bullet, Hop Wizard. Okay. Anyway. But besides 47 straight says game on, game on. All right, well, okay. The website says they use 2-row pale, wheat, malt, dextrin, chocolate, and acidulated barley malts. Well, and wheat malt, okay. The bittering hops are Magnum. The finishing hops, Centennial, Cascade, Chinook, Magnum, and Crystal. The 4 C's and an M. Then there's a list of food pairings, which you can look at your own leisure on the website. It's 8% alcohol, and it's 60 international bitterness units. I think I prefer the 69 IBUs that you get with the Stone IPA, but this should be nice. I've never had it before. People kept asking me about it. Why don't you try it? I said, I haven't seen it. I saw it yesterday at Rouse's. Beer Advocate says it's very good, 3.97 out of 5. That's how they see very good. Okay. I would say very good would be like a B+. Rapier said, oh no, it's a 93 out of 100. It's most excellent. It's a fabulous beer. And then in the style, Imperial IPA, it's a 70. It's like marginally okay. So it's strange how they say it's a fabulous beer, but in the style, it ain't that great. Kind of an interesting little dichotomy. Be curious to write my written reviews. Now, Greenleaf was saying, how can you say that your scores line up with Beer Advocate and Rapier when he was making a list of all my scores of recent vintage and saying, look, they're demonstrably higher than the norm. Well, I didn't say that my scores lined up. I said that my descriptions tended to line up. If you read what people are saying about it, like I'll write my review and then I'll read what other people write. It seems to match up, okay? I know the score is a little different because I think, in my opinion, that they tend to score stuff too low out of 100. I think that most of your beers are it's just the way I look at it. And hey, I'm not cheating the beer. I'm actually giving it more, maybe more than it deserves. But I don't think I am. But so I think most beers are very elevated in their flavors up towards 100. So all your differences, I think, tend to be up at the top of that 100 points, right? You got 1 point up to 100. And that's the way I see it. Okay, so ooh, thick head and all that lacing. Okay, let's see here. I don't want to be on here too long. So all that lacing and this golden appearance. It looks more orange on the video, but that doesn't translate accurately. It's kind of like my scores from what I'm looking at don't translate necessarily accurately to Beer Advocate, Rapier, and Untapped. That's okay. I don't care. All right. It's pretty clear, and there's no huge amount of sediment that I was getting with the Stone IPA. And if my scores are generally much higher than the if they deviate much higher than the average, it really isn't a problem to me, because Rate Beer and Beer Advocate, if they felt that I was doing a bad job, they could just kick me out of their groups. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could be expelled from their websites. But I've been writing reviews on there since 2009, and I've never gotten any negative feedback from them. I get a lot of points like, you're or whatever, a divine archon of the website because you got this many points. Which doesn't mean too much to me. Shane Fudge said, I almost sent you that beer, but I figured it was one available in your area. It really wasn't, from what I could tell, but it did show up here, you see. So I don't think it's too widely. How do you speak English? I don't think it's too widely available. Tyler says, cheers. Hello, Tyler Mansell. Cheers. Boss says, cheers from the Netherlands. Cheers back to you from in the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Okay, so here we go. Get the hat off me. People ask me, why do you always take your hat off? If you watch a lot of videos, it'd be a bad shadow in my face. It's like the phantom stranger, you know. You can't see my face. Not that it's about what I look like or my appearance. It's about the beer and what I think about it. Most beer reviews I watch. I don't really watch. I mostly listen to them, like a radio show, more than watching. I don't need to watch somebody do that. Okay. Oh, it smells like hop oil, you know, sweet white bread. Is it remarkably different from Stone IPA in appearance? Well, yeah, because it doesn't have all that sediment. Well, wait a minute, hold on. It is starting to show a lot of powdery sediment. I didn't see that at first. I guess turning this light on made a difference. Just hop oil, sweet white bread. Is it remarkably different in aroma? No. Life's in the 413. Hello, Life. He says, cheers from Massachusetts. Cheers back to you. You ever notice some people say Massachusetts? Like my father. No, it's Massachusetts. Let's practice phonics. But we'll do that later. We'll practice phonics later. Right now, we'll just do a beer review. There goes the fridge. Okay, the flavor. So they add this special powder. I was reading about this and I said, it's kind of like a gimmick. A blast of Magnum hops and lupulin dust. Pure, concentrated hop flavor directly into the tank. Do I have the right glass? Nah, I should be using a tulip glass, but I don't have access to a tulip glass at this particular moment. So it's basically like hop extract, right? Okay. I don't care if beer is a sort of a gimmick, like a torpedo going around there in the, brewing process, adding flavor, because I almost bought Sierra Nevada torpedo yesterday. I just mainly care, does it taste good? And I have to tell you, it tastes very good. But it tastes very much like a whole lot of other things. Sweet white bread, the hop oils, the white bread crust. The body doesn't seem to be quite as heavy as the Stone. Like, it's more medium body than high medium. Mostly dry finish. I'm telling you, you could almost do a blind taste test between this and the Stone IPA. I'm not too sure you could be able to tell them apart. At least I'm going from recollection. Until I do a blind taste test, and chances are I never will, I wouldn't be too sure. I gave that one an A, most excellent, 93, 94, 95 area, something like that. And I will give this one the same score. They both cost the same amount of money at Rouse's, $1.99 for a sample, for a single. If I had bought them at Martin Wine Cellar, they'd have been cheaper. But I wasn't at Martin Wine Cellar, and these aren't sold at Martin Wine Cellar, at least from the last time I was there. It could be at Trader Joe's. I hadn't been by Trader Joe's in a while. And you can get really good prices there. But I said, well, $1.99 each is not too high. I'll go along with it. Because you know these things are not nearly $12 a six pack. I don't think they're that high. Dilly says, morning, Ron. Morning back to you. Life says, I never really hear anyone mess up saying Massachusetts, but some of our towns, I hear people saying it, Massachusetts. But some of our towns are real tongue twisters for some, like Worcester, like Worcester, or Leicester. Yeah, and that comes from the English, our English people in the world who like to run those words together. But I shouldn't say too much, because in Louisiana, Richards, like you say, oh, I'm gonna get some Richards sausage, but they say Richard, Richard. And other things in Louisiana, like Calliope Street. In New Orleans, it's pronounced Calliope. She lives off Calliope Street. Like everybody else would say Calliope, right? Calliope. And little idioms like that. Odd pronunciations like mayonnaise, they say mayonnaise. A lady corrected me at work last week. She said, it's not pronounced mayonnaise, it's mayonnaise. I said, it is not mayonnaise. I don't know where this Louisiana thing came from. And they'll say, like, don't put it too hot, it'll get roint. Roint. It's not roint. It's ruined. Or Haverhill, Massachusetts. How you pronounce it? Because I would say Haverhill, right? Haverhill. They probably say Haverhill. Oh, well, let's get off of that. There's a lot of hop resin here. It's very hop oil oriented. If you don't like bitter beers, you would essentially hate this beer. My daughter would hate it. My father would hate it. But then again, he hates all beer, he claims. I think mainly he hated the feeling he had the day after drinking beer. Oh, my word. But he probably would have preferred craft beer more than like he would drink Coors Light and that kind of stuff constantly. But then he would say, it tastes horrible. I'm just drinking for the effects. I say, so basically you're using beer as a drug. He said, exactly. And my grandmother would say, don't say that. It sounds terrible. He said, but it's the truth. But he gave it up 15 years ago because he didn't like the drug effects. You know what I mean? The after effects, the unpleasant feelings that it gave him because it made him feel terrible. But I think if he had controlled it more and had been more, if his pacing would have been better, he might have enjoyed the craft beer scene. But now he doesn't mess with it. But he'll smell it, like and say, like last night with the Stone IPA, he smelled it. He said it does smell like bread. Okay, so that's the end of this. Jordan, oh, hello, buddy, OG, and Jordan. Jordan says corking versus caulking. I never heard anybody say corking. I hear people say you're gonna caulk a window. Use the caulking. Corking to me would be like you're putting a cork in a bottle stem, right? You're corking a wine bottle. Bring on the hops, says Jordan, and this one is bringing on the hops. But to be honest, as opposed to me being usually dishonest, I'm just kidding. No, but to be honest, as is my norm on Louisiana Beer Reviews, which is my description, the channel's description is honest beer reviews since 2010, honest alcohol reviews since 2010. I never said that they were good reviews or that they were accurate. I only said they were honest. I would only shop price. If I was going to buy Hot Bullet or Sierra Nevada, restart. If I was going to buy Hot Bullet or Stone IPA, I would simply shop price only. That would be my literally that would be my only consideration, price. Okay. Because I don't find they're appreciably different than each other. They just don't taste that different to me. Sorry, but that's just my impression. But on the flip side, the flavors I'm getting are wonderful. So if I could choose one beer that's an A or another beer that's an A of the same style and the same price, I would see that as a double approach conflict. Either choice I make is good. That's a double approach conflict. Let's say I can't have both. I got to choose, but either choice I make is 100% positive. That's what we call a double approach conflict. You could say it's a double approach avoidance conflict because the negative part is you have to pay for it. Well, I wouldn't factor that in as part of the conflict because you got to pay. I mean, you got to pay in this world. So I would not call that a conflict. And now that brings us to the end of this review. I'm going to go walk a mile. What was the first beer you ever tried? Says Dilly Dilly. Oh, probably Schlitz around 1970. It could have been Dixie or Miller High Life because I'm thinking around when I was, let's think back 48 years ago when I was a toddler and my parents would let me drink beer, sipping out their bottles. They wouldn't give me my own beer. I can remember in looking at old photographs, they mainly drank Dixie, Schlitz, or Miller High Life. So no, it was more like age 2. You know, like you're walking, you can barely walk, and you say, give me some, give me some. And, you know, like my father says, babies love beer, you know. So as a child, they would be drinking, no light beer back then, you understand, it's all regular beer. They'll be drinking Miller High Life or Schlitz. And I remember drinking out the bottle. I don't really remember drinking out of a can. I just remember that bottle, you know. So babies like bottles. So, and I would sip it, you know, and it would taste so good. You know, you're like 2 years old. It's hot on the patio and you're sipping it. Yeah. And all throughout the crawfish boil, I might have asked 5, 6 times, give me some, give me some. It tastes so good, you know. So that was probably the first beer I ever had was Schlitz. And I liked it, you know. I was going for the gusto at age 2. And then it leads to the next story that closes this out. In 1986, at 18 years old, I tried some Miller Lite. Oh, terrible, horrible. I thought, this is terrible. It tastes hollow. I remember thinking it tastes hollow. Because my experience as a little child, 2, 3, 4 years old, drinking from my parents' bottle, my mother and father, the beer had body in it. It was good, and it was like, you know, cold. They always had an ice chest, and you'd be sipping it. So here we go. 13 years later, well, let's say, I said, this beer tastes hollow. It's like it was something wrong with it. So I literally never drink beer again for almost 10 years. So what beer kept me from drinking beer from age 18 to 27? Nearly 10 years, Miller Lite. I said, if this is what beer tastes like, I don't like beer. I know I should have experimented a little more, but I just thought all beer tasted the same. So I thought, this is not good stuff. Then in February 96, I said, oh, well, everybody's always talking about beer this, beer that. And I can remember tasting it as a child and it was good. And maybe I have misevaluated it or something. So I went to the store and I bought a 6-pack of the pony bottles, you know, the little pony bottles of Miller High Life, 7-ounce. And I drank one on the back porch, and I thought, oh yeah, this is what I remember. This is the correct memory, the good beer, good beer. I said, well, I think I'll do a project. This is a true story. Over 22 years ago, I said, I'm going to do a project, and it's going to be try every beer I can get my hands on, more or less. So I just said, next thing, and then I'm going to save the bottles and cans. That'd be a cool little collection. That's what I decided. So then the next thing, I went and bought, what did I buy next? I think I bought Schlitz. Oh, very good. Very good. This is the real thing. And then I started buying stuff like Almatza from Lebanon, you know, and buying Peroni, Nastro Azzurro, and Birra Moretti, and Barina from Central America, and Molson, and then Newcastle Brown Ale, and Pete's Wicked Ale, and then all the different craft beers like Dixie, Crimson Voodoo, and Black and Voodoo. And so I had to warm up to light beer. I said that last night. Light beer is what I had to get used to. It took me about 10 years to get used to light beer. I'm still not really used to it. In fact, let me show you something. Natural Light. I remember this one as like a 10-year-old. It was like the flagship beer from Anheuser-Busch. So it took me a while to get used to these types of items. You know, you drink in the hop bullet, and then you drink something like this. I'm not going to drink this whole thing right now. I'm going to go walk a mile out. When I get back from walking, I'll finish it. But these things, look at that head. You know, it won't retain. That's the problem. And I still get at least one comment every week or two. Learn how to pour beer, fool. And I always want to, I'm tempted to not approach it in a gentle manner. I'm tempted to say stuff like, I see you've done your research, you know, but I don't say that. I usually say, where do you, they'll say, you don't know how to pour beer. And I say, where do you come by this information? Then I usually don't get an answer, you know. You know, this is so thin compared to the hop bullet. It's just, and it has that hollowness to it that I experienced in 1986. There's a lot of vacancy there, you know. Oh, I can tolerate it, and I can give it a fair score, but it's sort of comical. Miller Lite was the first beer I ever had, says Rioan. Ooh. Yikes. Mine was High Life, Miller High Life, age 8. I thought it was going to be cream soda. Boy, was I wrong, cream soda. Hot Bullet is a solid brew, but I just didn't have that I need more of this reaction to it. No, I didn't have that reaction either. It's very nice, and it is an A beer, most excellent. But it's not one of those you gotta have it beers, because you could just get a lot of other standard India Pale Ales, double India Pale Ales, and they're just as good. They're just as good. Life says, I can't stand the you're not pouring it right snobs. Yeah, I'm why did this become a thing? Right? It's like, I remember growing up in the 1970s and 80s, and I swear I never heard one person talk about you're not pouring the beer right. Of course, you might have regretted telling somebody that in 1975 or 85. You might truly have regretted telling a person that with that tone of voice. You know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. To approach to approach a person at a crawfish boil or a crab boil or a clam bake, and to use that tone of voice to tell them you're not pouring the beer right. In 1975 or 85, that could have been a big mistake, because there wasn't a whole lot of, hey, bro, you know, we don't see things the same way type of condescending. There wasn't a whole lot of skinny jeans, and you're just more likely to get challenged to come out into the parking lot. In 1985 to lecture somebody on how to pour beer. You'd probably definitely be invited out into the parking lot, I'm thinking back then. Drinking Keystone Light now, they are very popular here in Pittsburgh. Oh, they're very popular in Louisiana. Keystone Light is very big in Louisiana. It's extremely important product here. Dilly Dilly says the pour only matters if you're at a bar and you want to maximize the amount of beer at your in your glass. Correct, because you're getting ripped off already. Correct. So you may as well get all of the beer that you're being gypped for, right? But here we have a 12-ounce can. Notice that this can is exactly 12 ounces. If I pour it with the glass tilted at a very slow rate of pour, or if I pour it straight in, it makes an enormous head of foam, which will dissipate, in case people didn't realize that it will dissipate. You will get exactly 12 ounces of beer, whether you use a quick, medium, or fast or slow pour. Quick, medium, or fast. I'll say it right. A quick, medium, or slow pour. It will be irrelevant to the content. You will have exactly 12 ounces regardless. Except if you pour it in fast and you get a rich, thick head of foam, it will release esters that will enhance the drinking experience. See, you won't get that with a slow pour. You say, but that's Anheuser-Busch saying that. And Miller, and Coors, and Schaefer saying that you want a thick head to release esters to enhance the aroma. They have like a 1958 commercial about Schaefer on YouTube that talks about that. But your counter argument might be, what do they know about beer? What does Schaefer know about beer? Good point. I mean, they started making Schaefer lager in 1842. I mean, it's fairly doubtful that they knew much about beer. Dilly Dilly, exactly, says Jordan. Shane says, the only wrong way to pour beer is to not pour one at all. Oh, right, like drinking it out the can? I don't do that. Now, that's my beer snob characteristic. I just can't stand to drink beer out of a can or bottle. I'll just ask people politely, could I have you have a glass I could use? Sure. And then I'll pour it in a glass. But I don't go around at the party telling people, you know, it's really inappropriate to drink beer straight from the bottle. And let me tell you why. They won't appreciate that unsolicited advice. All right, anyway, thanks for watching this video production. 2 winners in a row, Sierra Nevada. Just can't get that out of my head. Stone IPA, Revisited Special Edition. Dr. Dave said, why do you call it a special edition? I said I copied that from Chad's beer reviews because he would always call a revisit a special edition. I said, well, I'm going to use that because it's like a peculiar way to frame that. I always thought that was an odd way to say it. But I like odd things, so I said, well, I'll adopt that. And so that was a winner. And now we got the Hot Bullet. That's a winner. We got Natural Light. That's a, I mean, you know, it's a winner within a certain context, right? Within a certain context. Okay, thank you for watching this video production. You take care, as Stuart Picard with Jen Riel Trail would say, you take care. There's the fleur-de-lis. There's a picture of the Blessed Virgin Mary with a palm from 2017. We got our palms today. There's Jesus Christ. Picture, the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Okay, so Palm Sunday. Yes, see, go to Mass and get your palms, these blessed palms. They are blessed by the priest. And you have a fabulous Sunday and a fabulous and wonderful and very reflective Holy Week. Thanks for watching this video production.